And welcome everybody to our weekly live stream coming to you from the Huckabee Theater in Hendersonville, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. Pam Case, senior producer for the show, is with me. And we've had a little chat going on here for a whole lot of reasons. We'd love to talk with you, and we hope you'll send your questions in the chat. We want you to also send a super chat for more visibility. Now, we've got moderators watching the chat for questions, but there's something that we need for you to do. Real simple, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell right underneath what you're seeing, and be sure to leave us a comment, hopefully a nice one. Leave us a like and share with all your friends. We've got a lot of things we're going to be talking about today, including continuing baby formula shortage and Joe Biden's mishandling of the situation. It's really getting dire. Then a CNN moment that perfectly sums up the Biden administration. And President Biden's White House seems to be losing hope. Our favorite comment from last week, actually almost 2 weeks ago, I guess it was. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done it. From the last live stream, it was this one from True Patriots, that's his moniker, his or hers, who said, well, this administration is what we get with a mail order president. I love that. Brilliant assessment. I thought that was great. Well, we have a question each week that we pose to you. We'd love to have you respond. My question for you is this: will new gun laws prevent mass shootings? Pretty simple, straightforward question. Do you think it would? If so, tell us why. If not, tell us why. Leave your answers in the chat and in the comments section below. Let me bring up why Pam and I were feverishly talking. This weekend on the show, we've been promoting and advertising that our guest was going to be Peter Navarro, former White House trade advisor. Great guy, a lot of fun to talk to, very plain spoken. But a funny thing happened on his way to Nashville to be on our show tonight. He got arrested and put in handcuffs and hauled off to the pokey. Now, this is interesting because what's the charge? Did he hit somebody, hurt somebody, kill somebody, assault somebody? Nope, none of that. Did he steal money? Nope, none of that. Here's what he did. He refused to hand over documents that Nancy Pelosi's sham committee demanded him to hand over about the January 6th riots at the Capitol. Now, he didn't do it just to be stubborn. He did it because he's an executive branch person, or was. And there is a separation of powers. It's a clear constitutional issue. And it is yet to be resolved whether Congress, one branch of government, can order another branch of government, the executive, to turn over documents that are unique to the president himself. Because if that can happen, then you have just gutted not only separation of powers, but you've also gutted the executive branch's ability to have inner communications within itself that aren't going to be subject to the curiosity of Congress. I'm of the opinion, and I'll be very blunt in this, that what Navarro did, as what also Mark Meadows has done, the former chief of staff, and there are a couple of others, they've all refused to cough up these documents. But they have now been charged with criminal contempt of Congress. Can I just tell you, I'm in contempt of Congress. Oh, not in a criminal way that I know of, but I hold them in contempt. And I guess that makes me contemptible, because I think that what they're doing is not only outrageous and politically driven, but it is dangerous to our process of constitutional separation of powers and due process. Because if just a few members of Congress, like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff and Jerry Nadler and Eric Swalwell and this bunch of thugs, can demand people from the White House to cough up their internal conversations with each other, then here's what you have. You'll never have conversations ever again among administration officials that are recorded. Now, they need to be recorded for historical purposes, for posterity. Records should be kept. But why would you keep records if you think that someone like Nancy Pelosi, with the integrity of everyone who was ever involved in the Salem witch trials, will be able to just show up on your doorstep and demand them, and if you don't give it to them immediately, they have the Federal Department of Justice come put handcuffs on you and take you away. So what I'm telling you is, I don't think Peter is going to show up tonight to be on our show. I wish he could. Obvious question. If they knew they were going to charge him with this, why didn't they call his attorney and say, meet us at the courthouse, we're going to file charges and we're going to go through an arraignment? Why didn't they do that? Because it wasn't about the just process of law. It was about making a spectacle. And so that's what they have attempted to do. Same thing that happened to Roger Stone. They go to his house at 5 in the morning. They take a battering ram, break down his door. His wife, who is deaf, scared out of her mind, not knowing what's going on. They have 27 people and 9 federal vehicles with a SWAT team to arrest a man who doesn't even have a gun in his house. You just have to ask, why did they do that? And why was it that CNN just happened to be on the scene at Roger Stone's house at 5 o'clock in the morning? They're not that good. They don't get that kind of news nose at CNN. It was because they were tipped off and told to be there, that there would be something that would be very spectacular that they could put on TV. Marching Roger Stone and his wife in their pajamas on their front lawn in front of their neighbors at 5 a.m. and arresting them as if they were John Dillinger or worse, Bonnie and Clyde. Here's what disturbs me, and I hope it disturbs you. When the federal government uses the extraordinary extent of its power, not just to carry out the law, but to abuse people and to make them as uncomfortable as possible over things that really are not exactly capital crimes, then the resources that they're using to go after, whether it's Peter Navarro or Roger Stone, are resources that aren't going after human traffickers who are taking 8-year-old girls and turning them into sex slaves for a bunch of filthy old men who pay money to use these little girls as their sex slaves. So yeah, I'm pretty ticked off about it. I would love to have had Peter here. I like him. I think he's a great guy and one of the best people in the Trump White House. Obviously, we'll have to work on getting him here at another time. So we're busy scrambling. I will tell you, you want to watch the Huckabee show because you'll be, who knows? Because we don't know.
We don't know, but that's okay.
But we'll fill up the holes.
I'm pretty calm about it. I think I'm pretty calm about it.
I think we all are.
We all are. We'll have someone.
We'll make it work.
And it'll be great.
We may turn on to all of our live stream viewers and do an extended live stream. Heck, I don't know.
Who knows?
Well, we've got a lot of things to show you. First off, we want to show, this is Karine Jean-Pierre. She is the new press secretary at the White House. And I'm wondering how happy they are that they picked her. Now, for all the fun we had making fun of Jen Psaki at times for her circling back and all, even though her answers sometimes were convoluted, she at least had one. I want you to listen. This is Karine Jean-Pierre, and she's trying to explain how that Joe Biden was briefed on the nationwide baby formula shortage, but somehow she can't really explain how he was briefed or informed. Let's watch.
Which senior White House staff made the president? So, as you know, the president deals with issues on a regular basis, and that boils up to him. And it's just there's no specific person that I can call out to you, but it's the regular way that we move forward through the regular channels. I don't have a specific person, but that's kind of how it goes on any issue, not just this one. It goes through regular channels, and senior White House staff usually brief him on different issues.
I heard the word regular more than in a laxative commercial on that one. I've never heard someone use that word so often.
And not one staff name.
Not one staff name. How did it happen? This is the President of the United States. Who briefs him? Oh, we don't know. It's just anybody. And it could be, you know, somebody who's cleaning the hallways with a vacuum cleaner. Mr. President, I've got some thoughts on that baby formula shortage. Yes, sir. Let's hear them. It's the regular way. Whatever that is, the regular way. Well, this baby formula shortage is a big deal, and it's even popping up on places where you would not really expect to see it. This next clip shows Biden administration really indicating that they keep giving new timelines for when they're going to get it resolved, and they have no stinking clue. Watch.
I think we're going to be in a matter of weeks or less getting significantly more formula on shelf.
Within, a few weeks, we'll have things back to normal. Within 2 months, we should be beyond normal and with a plethora.
We can't let up in the infant formula market back until it's all the way back to normal. And that's going to take a couple more months.
Yeah, it went from a few days to a few weeks to a few months, and now we have no idea when it's going to be, but it'll be a few months. So if you're a mom, hey, here's the good news. By the time Joe Biden gets this resolved, your baby won't be on formula anymore. He'll be eating ribeye steaks and baked potatoes from Golden Corral as a senior citizen. So don't worry about it. All covered. Now, I also think it's important that Joe Biden says he really didn't know anything about this. Then the reporters press him on it. How do you not know that something like this is going on? And then, well, you just watch for yourself.
The question you always on every single thing, why didn't you act sooner? Well, I don't think anyone anticipated the impact of the shutdown of one facility in the Abbott facility.
Didn't the CEOs just tell you that they understood it would have a very big impact?
They did, but I didn't.
Yeah, his staff knew, he didn't. How is that possible? How does your staff not tell you something of this kind of consequence? It's becoming a national news story. Does he even watch the news? I don't know. I can't answer this. Let me tell you how bad it is. I'll tell you how bad it is. CNN, you know, they're his homies. I mean, they got his back most every day. But even they can't defend it, and they are now talking openly on air about what a meltdown they're having at the White House trying to get their story straight.
CNN's Edward Isaac Dover has a detailed look today. You want to go to CNN.com and read it. That includes reporting that Biden and his inner circle have reams of internal polling and memos showing the messaging isn't working. The account is based on conversations with 14 White House aides and close allies of the Biden White House. And it includes this. They have the same internal meetings over and over, insisting that they need to change up their whole approach to how they're using Biden. And then, each time, watch as nothing changes.
Wow. All I can say is wow. Before we take your questions, we're about to go to them. There's just one more that perhaps best encapsulates exactly what's going on in the Biden White House. CNN is outside on the North Lawn, and they're doing what's called a stand-up, where the reporter is being taped, and or maybe he's live. In this case, I think he was live. And he's talking to Jake Tapper of CNN, and then something really interesting happens that is sort of like maybe a metaphor for the entire Biden White House. Watch.
To take very seriously that, whoa, guys.
Our camera fell down. Okay. Brian Dees, thank you so much.
Yeah, it wasn't just the camera falling down, it's the whole press corps at the White House that seems to be falling down. Now that is funny.
That is one for the blooper reel.
Love that one. That'll be shown at their Christmas party for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, we've given these folks some time to get some questions in, which we hope you'll already have subscribed, hit the notification bell, leave us a comment, a like, and a share. So Pam, why don't you tell us who's saying what out there?
All right, so I wanted to mention this because you did mention the baby formula situation. G Grandma to you is asking, why did we have to buy formula from other countries when we have stockpiles at the border?
Well, isn't that a good question? Yeah, I think we'd all like to know, why are we shipping in from elsewhere? But we did stockpile it at the border. So if you're an American tax-paying mom, we're going to get back to you. We're going to circle back here in a little bit. We're going to get, when we get things regular. But if you are illegally crossing the border, we got you covered. Think about that. Think about how that should make you feel as an American citizen paying taxes.
And
Probably
think about
not real
this.
good. Yep.
All right, Kate in St. Clair is saying, please, someone put a letter of resignation on Biden's cue card. Because he won't notice it until it's too late.
Now that is stinking funny. Kate, that's good. Wish I'd have thought of that.
Might be next week's quote of the week.
That could be the quote of the week right there. That's great, because it is true. He's sort of like Ron Burgundy in Anchorman. He reads whatever's put in front of him. We can't play that clip because it would violate every standard we've got at TBN, but
It's funny.
it is funny. Yes, go ahead.
All right, so True Patriots, who, by the way, had our favorite comment from last week, is saying, my question is when are these gas prices going to stop going up? It is destroying America.
It is destroying America. All kidding aside, we've had some fun here. But here's what it's affecting. It's affecting every single thing that happens to us. Let me give you some examples. It's not just that when you fill up your car, it costs more, but the truck that brings bread to your store and milk to your store and bacon to your store, it's costing twice as much to deliver it to the store as it did. Who pays that? It's tacked on to the cost of the bread, the milk, and the bacon. So you pay it. So not only are you paying for your own fuel, but you're paying for the fuel that delivers anything to you, whether it's an Amazon delivery or whether it's the cost of groceries that you have to pay. And the question that True Patriots ask, when will it stop? Well, it'll stop when Joe Biden finally gets his brain together and realizes that we walk across an energy supply that would provide every bit of energy that we need in America for the next 400 to 500 years, and we have it in our own backyard. We don't have to go hand in hand and beg OPEC or hope Russia calms down or that we can get the communists of Venezuela to sell us something. We can do it ourselves, and we were doing it for the first time in 75 years. I know this sounds like I'm just, a Trump toady, but folks, it's a fact. Under Donald Trump and the energy policies that he had, which was use everything we've got, make America strong, we were energy independent for the first time in 75 years, meant that we were completely dependent in any way on any foreign energy source, and we were producing all of it ourselves, enough and more than enough so that we could sell it to other countries, bringing the prosperity to our own shores. In one day, on the day of his inauguration, Joe Biden set in motion a process to end energy independence and put us back in energy dependence, which is where we are now. And he did it in remarkably short order. Now, you may wonder, why would he do that? Well, you got to remember, Joe Biden has sold out to the green energy fanatics who truly believe that if it bankrupts your family, if it makes it so that single mom can't afford to put enough gas in her car to get her kids to daycare and then herself to work, then so be it. Let her go out and buy a Tesla. Let her buy an electric car. But the problem is she doesn't have $70,000 to buy an electric car. And then she's still got to charge it, and that costs money. But these people don't seem to get it. Can she put a windmill on top of her car and blow herself to work every day? No. Can she put a solar panel on top of her car and hope it's sunny enough that it'll get her to pick up her kids in the afternoon? These people don't have their brains set right. I'm sorry, but it ticks me off when these know-it-all green fanatics truly believe that this is all good to ruin America's energy capacity, so we will be forced into all buying electric cars, which most Americans cannot afford. Interestingly, Joe Biden doesn't drive around in an electric car. His is a gas-guzzling SUV with a whole fleet of them that take him wherever he needs to go. Okay.
Okay, Gov, I don't know that we've had this conversation in a live stream since the last time we were together. Donald Frazier is commenting today. Pretty awesome. Soon to be another governor in your family. Best to you. And yours, the Arkansas primary.
Yeah, since we have been here,
yes.
My daughter Sarah won the Arkansas Republican primary with a squeaker of an election. She got just under 84% of the vote in the primary.
Wasn't sure she was going to pull it through.
Ooh, yeah, wow. We had to really wait for almost 10 minutes to see what it was going to be. But all kidding aside, it was a great night for her, for all of our family, and really, I think, for the people of our state. We're quite excited about Sarah's prospects to win in November, but she does have an opponent, a worthy one, in November. And so she'll be working very hard and trying to become the next governor. I want to go to this clip. This is, we've been talking about energy, so this is perfect timing for this. Jennifer Granholm, former governor of Michigan, is the energy secretary under President Biden. And basically, when confronted about this question, when are we going to get our energy costs down, she says exactly what I just told you. So don't take it from me alone. Take it from the people who are pushing it. Listen.
Ultimately, this price hike that we are seeing globally will likely remain high. And so we want to make sure that at the same time as we are calling upon an increase in supply, that we are also accelerating our future to clean energy solutions.
So there you go. You know, I wasn't making that up a while ago. What she says is the prices are going to stay high. And this will motivate us. It will force us to go out there and get these other sources of energy. But who's going to be able to afford them? Because we're going to be broke buying the basic necessities, as most American families are experiencing right now. And that's what these folks don't understand. You know why? Because they don't buy their own gasoline. They don't pay the same bills you pay. They're squired around in government cars, and they never look at the pump and say, oh my gosh, it's $6.90 in D.C. or California, almost 10 in California. That's why they don't care. They just don't care because they don't have to. You have to. If you have not subscribed to the channel, right now would be a good moment to do that. Hit the notification bell, leave us a comment. Be sure to tell us you like us. That seems so weird, doesn't it?
But we're glad they do.
It's one of those things about social media. You like me? I feel like I'm in the third grade.
We're 12.
Yeah, you like me? Please like me. And be sure to share with other people. That'll be great. Questions?
All right, so our question of the day is bringing on a lot of great comments. We'll talk about those coming up. But the poll, we asked the question, will new gun laws prevent mass shootings? And over 400, gosh, almost 430 votes. Will the new gun laws prevent mass shooting? No, 97%.
Wow.
97%,
wow.
Governor. 2% says yes. So there you go. That's today's poll.
That's pretty fascinating. And I think it does speak to the fact that a lot of people have thought this through and said, all right, what law can we pass that will prevent this? Because so many laws were violated by every single mass shooter. So the mass shooters obviously are not really concerned about abiding by a law. So we're going to pass some new ones. And is that going to fix it? If so, how? Because the people who are doing these horrible crimes are already disobeying every law on the books, plus disobeying the very law of nature and God's law to kill people. So, like, okay, we're going to have a new paperwork law. Yeah, that ought to do it, because if a person is willing to take a gun and shoot a child in a classroom, I'm pretty sure that person isn't worried about breaking the law of not filling out a form. Again, I don't mean to be rude here, but I keep hearing people say common sense gun reform, common sense. Well, here's some common sense. A person who will commit a horrible crime, killing a bunch of children in a classroom, is not interested in breaking the law about filling out paperwork. They just aren't. That's common sense.
In response to that poll question too, Richard Owen says, like the old cliche says, outlaw guns, and only outlaws will have guns.
Yeah. You know, I think a lot of people look at what's happening in major cities, Chicago, Baltimore, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Dallas, other cities run by Democrats, and the murder rates are sky high, up 67% in many places. So these are places that highly restrict the ownership or the use of firearms. They're also the places that defund police. So you have communities where you can find out, do these policies, these left-wing policies of disallowing guns for law-abiding citizens work? Clearly, they don't work, because as your last person just mentioned, it is an old cliche, but if you outlaw guns, only the outlaws will have guns because they don't care what the laws are. That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you who it affects. It affects the person who was an 85-year-old man this past week, and he and his wife were sitting at home at 6 o'clock in the evening. This isn't a middle of the night home invasion. 6 o'clock, they're sitting there just chatting with each other. Someone is starting to break into their house, gets in, sees that it's an 85-year-old man, figures this is going to be easy, but the 85-year-old man goes for his gun, gets him, shoots the guy, saves himself and his wife. Now, we can take his gun away. I mean, he's 85. Maybe people will argue he's too old to have a gun. Saved his life and saved his wife's life when their home was broken in at 6. I just want to say to the gun control people, do you want to leave that man defenseless? Because when the guy breaks into his house at 6 in the evening and it's a home invasion, he can get on the phone and call the cops, but the cops may not get there for 15, 20 minutes. What happens during that 15 to 20 minutes while they're sitting? Do they say, sir, could you sit and let's watch Jeopardy while we're waiting on the police to come and arrest you? Because we're unarmed and there's not a thing we can do except just get brutalized by you.
Yeah. One more comment on that, too, and then we can move along. Lynn Mathena is saying that enforcement of the laws we already have would be nice. Bail reform and defunding the police didn't seem to work.
Ooh, amen. And that's one of the things that you certainly see played out in these left-run cities. By the way, this week, just today, George Gascon, the prosecuting attorney in Los Angeles, got his ears pinned back by a court who said that he did not have the authority to ignore prosecuting certain crimes because he didn't want to. It was a major decision by the courts. Good for them.
All right, so shifting just a little bit, Rick Shimon is writing us and says, now this is referring to, I guess, the fact that Biden seems to be outpacing his predecessors on vacation days. The question is, why does the president have more vacation days than any other president in history?
I couldn't answer that. I guess you need to contact your local Democrat congressman or senator or elected official and ask. I don't know. I want to be fair. I don't begrudge that presidents would have time off because even when they're, quote, off, they really are never off. Their phone is always going to be ringing. There will always be people who can get through to them. So it's a little unfair to act like that a president on time off is inaccessible. Now, having said that, I'm not sure sometimes this president is all that accessible when he's sitting at 1600 Pennsylvania, because he goes and he can't remember the name of his own Health and Human Services secretary when he's introducing him. So there's some real issues there. I'm more worried about not the days that he's not in the White House and is technically on vacation, but that when he's at the desk and at the White House, but his mind is on vacation. That's scary.
Well, Sarah Sprint is kind of referring to that maybe. President Trump took an intelligence test when attacked. Why hasn't anyone publicly demanded that Biden take one?
Well, because the people who would publicly demand that are the press, and they're doing everything they can to cover for Joe Biden, everything possible to cover for him.
Nancy is asking, Governor, isn't what is happening now with energy issues what Biden promised during the election?
It is. You know, if you think back, he openly said, we're going to get rid of fossil fuels. I mean, he didn't just beat around the bush about it. He openly said, and I thought at the time, well, that's bluster. He's really not going to do it. Now I realize it was one of the few promises that he made that he really intends to keep, to get rid of all fossil fuels, something we have plenty of. I'm not opposed to other forms of energy. In fact, I'd love to see them all. Nuclear, wind, solar, you know, hamsters running around in circles. I don't care. Let's get everything possible that would be useful and helpful, that would bring the cost of energy down, because that means prosperity for every American, not just for the energy people. Love to see that happen.
Lisa Cunningham is asking, when will Hunter Biden get indicted? Way overdue.
Yeah, good question. The latest is that the book by Hunter's ex-wife just is coming out, and it reveals all some just sordid things, which I don't want to get into here. We don't have the time. But a good question is, how does a person who has so many of these multi-million-dollar deals with foreign governments that are our enemies, Russia, China, etc., who seems to be giving a slice of it to his pop, the big guy, as he's called in documents, how is it that that's seemingly okay and we never hear it? I just can't even imagine. Hey, be sure to continue to leave us your questions in the comment section. And before we leave, good time, as we leave, hit the subscribe button, notification bell. We're not going to have a live stream next week, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Right now, we want to tell you thank you for joining us, and we hope you'll watch the show tomorrow night to see who our guests are, because we're figuring it out ourselves. Peter Navarro will not be able to be here with us because of what happened to him today, but boy, I would love to get him on next week or as soon as we can, and let's talk about this. Yes. Be sure and watch. I promise it will be a show worth watching. Here we go.
This week on Huckabee, former Trump aide Peter Navarro, conservative journalist Savannah Hernandez, veteran comedian Jeff Allen.
Doctor said if you were part of a wildebeest herd, the lions would be circling you right now.
The best donuts around with Five Daughters Bakery. And Flat River Band performed. Watch Huckabee on Saturday at 8, 7 Central and again on Sunday at 9, 8 Central right here on TBN.